Welcome to LaTour Retirement Talk. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore, and I'm here with these two wonderful gentlemen today, our hosts, Jim Margraf and Josh LaTour. Jim and Josh looking good today. I know you've got a great show lined up. I love the topic. For our viewers out there or just our listeners on radio or just the podcast, you can see us now on YouTube if you haven't ever watched the video podcast. We video the podcast, and you can see Jim and Josh. Not only are they the brains, the eye candy. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm neither of those things. So thank God Jim and Josh are here. But I'm excited about our topic today. First, we're going to start with Josh today. He started the day off bad, got a little bump on the head. Were you putting up Christmas decorations? What were you doing this morning?
No, I was bending down to unplug the Christmas tree. And so I got it unplugged, and then I decided to stand up, and turns out I was right beneath the fireplace mantelpiece. And I connected hard.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, the good news in all that is, let's not bury the lead. You've already got your Christmas decorations up.
It's true. Yeah.
The tree is already up and ready in the house.
This
Wow. You're ahead of the game. We haven't done that yet. I was supposed to put up the outside lights this weekend, but
So was I.
I pushed it off, and I said on Saturday, I said, well, I got this and this, and I wanted to do this today. And my wife, Sarah, said, oh, you can, tomorrow will be nice as well. Tomorrow we'll do it. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
That sounds like my weekend, actually. Yeah.
And then it got dark. Well, it's too late now. So yeah, it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to do them in the dark.
No, that can't happen. So that's my
being on the roof in the dark for sure.
Oh, well, I don't do the roof anymore. No, we keep the lights lower. We don't do the top of the roof house anymore. We have this overhang on our front of our house, and we do along there. That's about halfway up. So
that's what we're gonna do too.
Good enough. We call it good enough.
Right.
Some people go all out, and I love that. And I used to go all out even more, but I'm just I'm now to the good enough point. Now we decorate the backyard more, our fences, because all our neighbors can see it, and we do the little,
nice.
We loop it around. Our whole yard is fenced in. Let me tell you, it takes a lot of lights though to do that, and a lot of time to get all the way around our yard. It's huge. So that's kind of where I put my time in. And then on the garage, we usually do it around the garage door and along the top of the roof there, because I can almost reach it. So that's nice. What did you do this weekend though, Josh?
Me? Well, we intended to finish putting up decorations, and Saturday morning rolled around, and we had a lazy morning. We ended up watching movies with the baby, and so we actually watched a Christmas movie instead. We watched Home Alone.
Oh, that's a fun one. I love that. Love it. Yeah. How about you, Jim?
Always enjoy Home Alone.
Yep.
My dad came down for the weekend. And so, all the way down from, he lives up north of where you are actually. And so he drove down to Missouri for a nice long weekend, had just a relaxing time, just got to visit, since I don't get to see him very often. What's the funny thing when he came down is, he lives basically across the driveway from my sister, and he often helps her, with shuttling the kids to the various sporting events and school and stuff like that. He didn't tell any of them he was coming. So my sister calls him in a panic. Dad, where are you? Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm down south of Minneapolis now. He says, what are you doing down there? Oh, I'm going to see Jim. And he's like, you're what? So I then get a text message from my brother-in-law. Hey, do you know Dad's coming for a visit?
Oh, no.
I'm like, yeah, we've been talking about it for a month. He just never told any of them. So we had a nice, good laugh over it.
That's funny. That is funny. Hey, at least you knew about it though ahead of time. Yeah. That would have been disastrous.
So it would have been. Well, he has a permanent invitation, so
No, that's good. Of course. I mean, we've had my mom and dad, or my dad especially, show up unannounced before,
Yeah.
and it's about a 4-hour drive. So it's just like, wow, he drove up, and then for a while I got upset, like, hey, you got to let us know. And I told my mom. So then my mom would call, FYI, Dad's on his way. He just left. She'd give us a heads up, which is good, because he
There you go.
wouldn't call or communicate it at all. I mean, he would just
Right.
show up.
Shows
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't mind that, but my wife would like to be prepared, for
Sure.
a
Oh,
yeah.
visitor and a guest. And he would usually stay overnight. So it's
Right.
just like, okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, hey, we're talking today about you wanted to call the show So You're a Decade from Retirement. What
Mhm.
does that mean? What are we doing? We're talking about if you're within 10 years of retirement, what you need to do here.
Yeah, Tony. So many times people have spent their entire life savings, and now what do? We know we're getting close to retirement. Are there some things that we can do if we haven't prepared very well? And even if we have been preparing, what are some things we need to pay attention to that are a little bit different now that we're only 10 years away versus 20, 30, 40 years away from retirement, right? Things look a little bit different. I want to change a couple of things. So that's what we want to talk about today.
All right. Sounds good. Where do you want to begin? What's the first thing you want to do if you're a decade away from retirement or less?
Well, I'm actually going to start just a little bit before that, Tony. And
Okay.
I think it's important to start building a base before you get to that decade out from retirement.
Sure.
Mhm.
And honestly, the sad fact is there's a lot of people who haven't. Last year in 2024, Go Banking Rates did a study, and they found that 30% of workers don't have any retirement savings, and 40% are not contributing to a
Ooh.
retirement plan at all.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of people that are not preparing. So I think it's wise, especially if you're 20 to 30 years out from retirement, you start planning for it. Regardless of how far out in the future it may seem, it's going to sneak up on you, and next thing you know, you are going to be at that decade from retirement, and that decade's going to go quick. So start early, and as we've said before, save early, save often. It's smart to do.
Right.
And then once you get to that 10 years out, you're not going to feel like, oh man, I have to start planning now. And now I only have 10 years left. And what am I going to do? We don't want that. We don't want it to be a panic once you reach that decade out. So start planning early.
Yep. I like that. Save early, save often. Of course, that's my motto for voting too. Vote early, vote often.
Right.
Right.
Right. There you go. I don't recommend actually doing it though, Tony.
Yeah. Don't vote often. Vote once.
Vote once.
Right.
Yes. But the thing when it comes to the preparation for retirement is for most people now, we don't have a pension,
Right.
right? We have the 401k. So the responsibility is on us to make sure we're doing our due diligence. We're doing the prep and doing the work of setting up the funds aside. So, not having that pension takes the burden off the employers, puts it on us. And, there is a little bit of education that is required, a little bit of work, a little bit of diligence that is required along the way. When we're, as Josh started out saying, when we're, a lot further away from retirement, just use that 401k, contribute to that, the IRAs, Roth IRAs, things like that. Just put money aside on a regular basis, get it set up so you can just set it and forget it and just keep putting money into there your entire working career. Now, as you get close to retirement, I want to say if you don't have as much set aside as you would like, the good news is it's not too late.
Right.
We do have, and it is in the rules where we can set aside a little more than we could when we were younger. So there are some catch-up limits. So add some more, so we have some more room as far as how much we can contribute to that 401k and that IRA. So if you're able, absolutely use it if you feel like you're a little bit behind.
Right.
Yeah. What are those? I think at age 50, once you hit 50
Age
years
50.
old, you can start contributing more to your retirement accounts, things like 401ks, 403bs, TSPs,
Mhm.
that nature, right?
Yeah, not only that, there's a catch-up provision for those, for the actual retirement plans through work, but also for your own individual IRAs or Roth IRAs. There's another catch-up for that as well. And you can contribute to both. I have people that ask me, like, well, I'm contributing to the 401k and I'm maxing that out. Does that mean I can't do an IRA? No, it does not mean that. You
Right.
still have the ability to contribute to both. The contribution limits are separate. So that gives you even more opportunity to put money away for the future.
Yeah, and I want to ask you both something about that before we move on. So my wife and I've heard others say this, and I believe you, but clarify this for me. Um, as long as you're putting enough in to get the full match of your 401k or your
Mhm.
employer-sponsored plan, whatever that may be, 401k, 403b, TSP. So if you're putting enough in to get your full employer match, beyond that, even if you haven't hit the contribution limits, you might want to also have an IRA, and there are many reasons for that, right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, that's what we've been told. For a lot of people, they probably want an IRA or a Roth in addition to their employer-sponsored account
Mhm.
anyway, right?
I absolutely agree with that, Tony.
Mhm.
I think it's great to have maybe some funds that are a bit more under your control, funds that you can
Right.
work with your financial advisor, and you have more investment options in your IRAs and Roth IRAs than you do inside your 401k plan. In the 401k, you've got whatever options are in there. But if you're under 59 and a half, you can't do anything more with those funds than the options that you have inside the 401k. And so
Sure.
it just it's a little bit limiting. I Now, don't get me wrong. I will tout the benefits of a 401k all day. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. It's one of the best
Yep.
tools we can use to set aside money because you don't see it before it goes to the 401k.
Right.
I tell you
Right.
what, once I've seen that money hit my bank account, it is so much harder for me to invest it for the future. Once it's hit my bank account, it's going to be used for now. So
Yeah.
when it goes to the 401k, I don't miss it. And it's just it's automatically saving for me that way.
Yeah. If it hits my checking account,
Right.
anything that hits our checking account,
It's game over.
I tell my that's gonna go for pizza and music. I mean, that's gonna be poof, and it's gone, right?
Yeah. And
That's like
another
the general fund.
Yep.
Right.
And another thing to consider when you are wanting to look at those IRAs, Roth IRAs, if you are contributing to the Roth option in your 401k, getting yourself a Roth IRA gets that 5-year
Right.
clock started. So that is an excellent
Absolutely.
little tip, is to go ahead, open up that Roth IRA and start that 5-year clock. So then when you go to take those 401k, the Roth dollars in your 401k, move them over, they are immediately accessible to you, as well as all of the gains. And
Right.
so get that 5-year clock started. So once you hit retirement, you're good to go.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's so important. And through all of this, you want to make sure you're working with a trusted financial services professional to customize this to your own personal needs. It's
Mhm.
like why you want money in an IRA, not just in your employer account, because
Right.
you want money that you can individualize for your own, and you have more choices, right?
Mm.
That's exactly right, Tony. So I think it's time to start talking about some of the steps you want to be taking as we approach that decade out from
Right.
retirement.
Sure.
Well, to start with, we got to evaluate what we've got. You want to see, sit down with a financial advisor and go through your net worth, your 401ks, your IRAs, your
Mhm.
brokerage accounts, savings, things like that, any properties in addition to your primary residence. These are all things that are important, that they play an important part in your overall retirement strategy. So you got to know where you're starting before you can know where you're going. So that's a
Right.
good place to start.
Yeah, you can't get directions even on a phone or a GPS. You can't get
Mhm.
You got to
directions.
have a starting location.
Yeah, you have to have a starting location, or it's not gonna do. You're never gonna get there. So,
Right.
yeah, you have to start somewhere and assessing where you're at with your
Right.
finances and with your retirement savings. That's the starting point.
Right.
And it's funny, Tony. I've sat down and gone through that with different clients over the years, and I've had people that were like, man, I didn't even realize we had this much. They knew they had this account here and this account over here. And
Sure.
once we tallied it up for him, he was like, really? We have this much money? I had no idea.
Right.
Because they just looked
Which
at
is the point
individual
though
amount.
which
Yeah.
is the point you made earlier. It just, you don't think about it. It's just immediately, it's
Right.
money you never had because it
Right.
automatically goes right in there and you never see it. And that's the good news. That's a pleasant surprise, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we like those kind of surprises.
Yeah.
So the next thing we want to look at is we want to look at our goals. What does retirement look like for us? What are our plans? We have some people, their plan is to downsize, make it so the kids can't move back in. Then
what we're working on.
Right.
By the way.
That's what I was going to say.
I just converted my son's bedroom into my new record room and audiophile listening room. So
there you go. He's not coming back.
Nope.
Not a chance.
He's not getting
No.
that room back again.
No, and I was just reading a story yesterday. A couple that when they hit retirement, they decided they were going to cycle across the country. And
wow.
so, yeah, they've done it 4 times now. And I'm like, well, good for them. That was their goal. That was what they wanted to do. At
Like
the beginning.
bicycles or motorcycles?
Bicycle.
Across the country?
Across the country.
Oh,
Yep.
I couldn't bicycle across the parking lot. I don't think I could take a blow to the ticker like that in my condition.
So, some people are more adventurous. Some people
Yeah.
are not so adventurous. They want to slow down. For a lot of people, the attention turns to the grandkids, right?
Right.
They want to spend as much time with the kids, the grandkids as possible. So the big thing is, what are your goals and what is going to be driving your budget moving forward? We want to factor those things in as we get closer and closer to retirement. But another thing we want to do is, hey, when do I want to retire? What age do I want to say goodbye to that final paycheck and step out the door and say goodbye and say, hey, all right, working world, we're done. I'm going to go and enjoy my golden years. And we need to look then at how we're going to allocate our balances, those savings that we have for these retirement years. But we need to know what we're aiming at. So not just the dollar amounts or income, but when do I want to retire? I need to know what that age is and what my retirement is going to look like. What kind of a vision do I have for those years?
Yeah, traveling, taking the grandkids to Disney World. These are some large expenses that you have to plan for in retirement. People buy RVs, and that's a huge expense that they a lot of times don't mention to their financial advisors or work into their retirement budget. They're like, "Oh, I got enough money to live in retirement. I'm not worried about running out of money." And then the first year, we're going to buy an RV our first year.
We have clients who have done such things.
Yes.
And those are high 6 figures they can get into. I mean, depending on what you get, it's crazy.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. And they're winning a chunk of the retirement dollars.
Yeah. So you got to plan for these things. Yeah.
Yes,
and what helps is what you mentioned earlier is figuring out what you have, looking at all the income sources. A lot of people, like you said, don't even realize all the income sources. What's that Social Security amount going to be for you and your spouse? What's all that going to be? I mean, then define your goals and say, will it be enough? Right.
Exactly. Yeah. You tally up with the Social Securities if they have any pensions. I mean, we've talked about it before. Pensions are kind of fading away into something of the past, but there are still companies that have them. If you worked for the government, oftentimes you'll have some sort of a pension as well. Add those things together. Many times, and I would say the vast majority of cases, there's going to be an income gap. You're going to need more than what those streams of income are going to provide. And that's where the funds that you've been working hard saving over the last 30, 40 years, that's where that comes into play. And that's where Jim and I get to go to work and put together a plan to make sure we fill that income gap properly.
Yeah, I think that is huge. So what's next what's the next step on the list here?
Well, one of the things that I want to bring up here, and I actually got this question over the weekend over email, is someone who is just barely into that 10-year window before retirement. They asked me about debt, and they said, well, what should I do about some of my credit card debt? How do I get this paid off? What what do I do? And I'm glad that they're thinking about this. They're looking, how do I get this paid off before I say goodbye to that final paycheck? And so what I did is he asked about some of these, debt consolidation things you see on TV. And I told him, hey, listen, save yourself some money. You can do this yourself.
Right.
I said, hey, listen, grab a sheet of paper, write down the balances of those debts and list the minimum payments. And start with the smallest one, and pay the minimum on all of them, and then put all your extra dollars on that smallest debt, and then work your way. Yeah, once that one's paid off, work your way then to the next larger one, and then the next larger one. It's called the debt snowball method. It's put out there by you'll see it online. You hear about it on TV. It works because it gives us the psychological win. And when you get to the end of that decade and you're saying goodbye to that final paycheck, it's a really nice thing to not have the extra expense of debt payments and being charged interest by credit cards, mortgages, things like that. That gives a lot of people a big relief and a big sense of freedom when you don't have those debt payments anymore.
Yeah, the sad fact is debt is just something that is it's been a crippling thing for our nation. Not only the nation's debt itself, but individual consumers. I mean, the credit card debt in the U.S. has been tallied up to $1.16 trillion.
Oh,
and we talk about how big the national debt is, but that is huge for individuals.
Right.
So we want to get these things out of our life before retirement. I think that's an important thing. The client that emailed Jim, more power to him. I wish him the best with getting this out of their life and having a path forward and using some of these methods that have been proven to work. I think is important.
Yeah, like the snowball or the avalanche method. You've talked about that on past shows, especially that high interest debt. I mean, when you talk about $1.16 trillion, and that's high interest debt. I've seen credit card debt anywhere right now from 22% all the way to 30 or 31%.
Yeah,
so that's tough.
I mean, if you're buying something on sale and you're putting it on a credit card and you're not paying off that credit card, it's not on sale anymore.
Right.
You're paying full price and then some. So better thing to do would be to bypass on buying those things you don't actually need and get that high interest debt paid off.
Yeah. So if you're 10 years or within, I mean, you should always work on paying off debt, especially high interest debt, but especially before retirement, because that can really derail your retirement right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think the next thing we want to assess is our risk tolerance. As we get closer and closer to retirement, oftentimes our risk tolerance is going to get less and less. We don't want to take on the same risks we did in our 20s and 30s when we're in our 50s and 60s. So assessing where we're at and making decisions and changing our plan. Our mindset needs to change, and so do our finances. So that is a very important thing to do. Now, there's a lot of ways you can assess what your risk tolerance is. There's the classic rule of 100, where you subtract your age from 100, and that's kind of where you fall on the risk scale. And so you only want to have the funds at risk that are your age minus 100 minus your age, rather. And so that's a good starting place. We like to take it a step further. We do a risk assessment called the Color of Money Risk Analysis with our clients, and they answer a number of different questions, and we're able to kind of measure where they're at based on their answers and put a number to it. It's a little bit more accurate than just the rule of 100, because honestly, that just takes everybody and puts them into the same bucket there. And everybody's different. So Jim's risk tolerance may be entirely different than Tony's. And so we want to make sure that we're doing an individual thing and basing it off of that, and then structuring your investments to fit that risk score.
Yeah. Well, and you've talked about risk a lot on past shows. I mean, there's market risk, there's different types of risk. And then I think people take on excessive risk to catch up. If they're within that 10 years, as they get closer, maybe 5 years or within to retire, actually retiring, they might take on excessive risk to try to catch up, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes they will. And I would say the better thing to do would be to address your budget and look to see how much of your income you can allocate towards retirement savings. Because if I put too much of my funds into the market at too high of a risk level,
Hmm.
if the market hits a downturn or if we hit a recession just at the point that I'm getting ready to retire, that's going to it's going to mean I have to go stay at work longer.
Right.
Right.
Yikes. Yeah.
We had that happen back at the last recession. We had someone come in, a potential client come in, and they said, "Well, you know what? I think I'm good. The market's been doing well. I'm quite happy with where I am." And 6 months later, he comes back in and says, "Can you help me out? The market just took a huge chunk of my retirement savings. What do I do now?" And the sad answer was, well, we kind of have to wait till the market comes back because we were allocated way too risky for this stage of life. And so paying attention to my risk tolerance is,
but had he
Josh
worked
said,
with you
so important.
sooner and earlier and and listened to your advice instead of going and maybe he would have been better allocated when he did retire or they did retire. And that's important. So what's the final step you have for us?
Honestly, Tony, the final step is making sure you consult with your financial advisor. You need a trusted person in this field when it comes to retirement. It's not an easy thing, and it's something generally you only do once. You want someone who's walked other people through that door. And I think that's important. And trust is the key with that. It has to be a trusted advisor because, I mean, there are people out there that are not trustworthy. And so you want to vet them. One, you want to make sure you have a fiduciary on your side. A fiduciary meaning that Jim and I are both fiduciaries.
Right.
And so we're required by law to do what is in the best interest of our clients. And then beyond that, we have a fiduciary standard that we just uphold ourselves to anyway, regardless of the law. We're going to do whatever is in the best case of our clients because we just have the heart to do that. And so you want to make sure you have an advisor on your side that is both held to that legal standard and also holds themselves to that standard.
Yeah, make sure you're working with a fiduciary, trusted financial services professionals. So how can our listeners out there get a hold of you?
Just give us a call at 417-641-3497 and also visit our website at latourasset.com.
All right. Well, guys, great show today. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of LaTour Retirement Talk with our hosts, Jim Margraf and Josh LaTour.